All right, welcome back. We are once again at Old Berg, and let's go ahead and get. So it's 11 in the morning. I want to switch over to the Bream spot that we talked about last episode and really try it out for a night, see if it's any good. I just saw in chat someone mention 1044, which that's an old school Bream spot as well, but we'll stick with what we were going to try. I do want to just get some lines in the water here while we're getting situated and before it is time for Breams. Like right now it's so early. It's probably not worth casting over there at the Bream spot yet. We'll let that sit. But we caught that trophy roach over here last time, so we will actually set up with our roach ground bait, crackers, bloodworm, and caramel, and a variety of sizes. And we'll just put them in the water here for a few minutes until it's time to go. And in the meantime, we can keep digging. We also, right before I started this episode, I did some quick crafting so that we could get ready for Bream by, so we got ground bait up to 15%, which means we can now use pearl barley. And if you notice, regular Bream ground bait, which we cannot do yet because we can't use anise oil until 30%. However, everything else that's in it, we can make. So we can just sub in some sunflower oil, or we could do no attractant at all. It's also an option. Which, let's see. So it's not quite Bream is what we'll call this. So we can use pearl barley now. We can use maggots and millet porridge. And then we can do sunflower oil. It's kind of what I was thinking, but I think we actually just could make it without an attractant. I wonder how important the attractant is. Let's make one like this and we'll start off with that, and then, or maybe we'll do, ooh, it's 6 out of 10. Let's throw sunflower oil on one. That's 10 out of 10. And then we'll do another one without and see if we can get a little higher rating on it. 6 out of 10 again. Maybe because we're not using an attractant? Would that affect the quality? I don't know. I've never noticed that before. It's just weird. Like, you don't get 6 out of 10 that often with 3 points, so it's just a little weird. So if we go to our ground bait though, these are all the ones that starting here and all the way down to here are the ones that are just crackers. So this is how many we made to get up to 15%. So quite a few, but not too bad because we had already done a ton up to that point. So now we've taken care of the... All right, so 50-50. If it's a roach, it's a good one. If it's a Bream, that is another really nice roach. Not quite trophy, but almost a kilo. I mean, that'd have been a marker Bream as well, but that was a nice roach. So this seems to be some big roach here. Probably not as good a bite rate as the other roach spot that we fished in last episode, but this is, like I said, where we got that roach trophy, so we will take it. So we'll stay here, yeah, just a few more minutes. Let me see, is there anything else we need to do before we head over to Bream spot? So we've leveled up ground bait to 15.7, so we could do the fake Bream stuff. Harvesting baits is to 35, so we can now start making garlic dough. Although we don't have to be quite as aggressive with this because, I mean, we can't go past garlic dough until we get to Quarry. So, I mean, we can just kind of work on it a little bit each episode, I guess, until we get ready to go to Quarry. But again, it's nice to have garlic dough. There are a lot of times where garlic dough is the way to go for Bream. But just happens to be right now, pearl barley's working, which is great because new players can get there so much more quickly and much more cheaply. But we'll make a little bit of garlic dough here. Again, garlic dough more expensive. I mean, every time we kind of go up to a new bait, tends to get a little bit more pricey. I'm assuming we got 10 of everything, but we might have gotten 20. Oh yeah, we must have gotten 20. So we still have a little bit more, but that's fine. We'll just wait on the rest. Yeah, somebody in chat was talking about how bream spots will often turn to roach spots during the day. Well, it feels that way right now because pearl barley is the bait of choice for bream. That's not always the case, and common roach tend to be not everywhere, but in a lot of places. So if the bream die off a little bit, then yeah, if you're using pearl barley, you're going to suddenly start catching plenty of roach. But there's still a difference in a place that you get occasional roach versus like this spot over here we were in last episode where, I mean, that was a really nice roach bite rate and they were big roach on average. Alright, I think we've done everything we need to, so we'll just give it a couple more fish and then we'll head over to set up on bream. Let's see if that program, I don't even know if you can still get this program anymore, so it may not be available, but I'm curious if it still is working. Yeah, it seems to be. No connection to base, so I don't know. But 1044. Yeah, so right here. It's actually pretty close to where we were for the roach. But somebody in chat was saying that bream are pretty active over there, which, I mean, that would be great. You really could fish for bream and roach. 24/7 fishing spot. So have we done a pretty good job building up a few red worms? Yeah, we're up to 10. Even though it gets less and less likely that we'll get points by digging, we still want to dig because we're still at a level where red worms are significant as a bait option at times, and plus we just, anything to save some silver while we try to save up. See, we're down to 900 silver. So even with the, a little bit of fish silver we've made off of fish in the last couple episodes, which hasn't been great, but it's been okay. We've gone in the, we've lost about between 200 and 300 silver with all of the leveling up of bait harvesting and ground bait, which in some ways I'm kind of relieved that we haven't gone down more. I thought we would be a little lower by now with where we are, especially in the leveling bait harvesting. All right, it's early, but let's go ahead and go get set up on the spot we're actually going to fish for bream at. We'll try to wait on one more fish maybe, and then we'll pull them both. All right, so we're going to go to 17 clip, and we're going to switch this out for our not quite bream. We'll do one without the attractant on this one with the large one hook. So that one is set up, ready to go. And then we'll put, with the 5 and the 8, I think we'll go ahead and put the one that has the sunflower seed in there. All right, I like it. So this one becomes this one, right? Yep, sunflower oil. Now, another change I made, I don't know if you noticed last episode, but our cages, we were using the 30-gram mesh feeders. They were getting stuck on the bottom some. So I actually went to 15-gram cages. And we're also going to put the one with sunflower seed in this one. To see if that helps decrease the amount of snagging we're getting on the bottom from the cage weight. With these little setups we're using, the reels, the strength of the reels, having a lighter cage may affect how much that's happening. So we'll see. All right, so we're heading right over here. 51.49. Sorry, 54.40. No, 56.49. And 17-meter clip. We're just kind of casting straight out here. Let's see if 100% gets us there. Yes, perfectly. So the lighter cages also do not cast quite as far. So we're not getting quite as much blowback on a 96% cast or whatever. Or 100% almost. And we're going to go grab a couple more ingredients for ground bait. But I probably won't make it yet because I want to see how these do. Not that we've got a direct correlation, but if it's working decently on the large one hook without the attractant, that'll be good to know. If it's, we'll do 3 of those. If it's not, then that obviously would be good to know as well. How many do we have right now of sunflower oil? 6. We've got plenty. And additives, we need millet porridge, maggots, and maybe our next batch, peas are not bad for bream, but we don't open those up yet. I don't necessarily like corn for bream. Bloodworm should be fine. It's got worm in it. We also could just pick up some cheese or something like, let's see, what's the main bait we're using? Pearl barley. We could put, I think you could put pearl barley in ground bait if I'm not mistaken. That might be a thing to try. You have to be 30% to use wheat flour. We could dump some cheese in, some melted cheese in there. But I might test that with pearl barley. Let's see what size, what kind of fish this is. We'll see if this is actually a bream on the sunflower oil attractant. Looks like it is. All right. Looks like we have a fish either on or biting with our large one hook. So let's wait for a minute and see if this turns into a bite before we go grab that pearl barley. Definitely for me, I mean, obviously it just gets exponentially more fun when there's more and more you can experiment with ingredients on the ground bait. But I do enjoy like just trying, making your own recipes. Usually like keeping it fairly close to what you know the real recipe is supposed to be, but just tweaking it a little bit. One of the things we've often done, instead of using the anise oil as attractant, spicy garlic can be really good as an attractant for bream. Again, a lot of times garlic is what the bait is they're using, but and that really points to the fun that you ultimately end up having when you can start carp fishing. Because once you're mixing boilies, different boilies, corn or pellets with different either ground bait or spod or PVA, that's where it also becomes really cool to experiment and try different things. All right, so we wanted to get one pearl barley just to see if that's something that you can put in ground bait, or if you have to be higher level to put it in there. Okay, it's not something that goes in there at all. It's not one of the foods that allows you to put it in there. Okay, interesting. Melted cheese does. Or is there anything else we'd even want to try? Peas? Probably not. Look how much the coffee sold out here. You got to get 200 portions. But that's because this is the cheapest grocery place, right? So this is where people come to get a lot of the groceries that people want in large amounts. So, can we get tackle store from out here? That's really cool. All right. I think there's a fish on both of these lines. Actually, I think there's a fish on all three. All right, so it's still early, but the bream are coming in. This feels like a little more healthy spot than what we've seen before. Hopefully this will continue once it gets to be evening and they will turn into markers. All right. So it seems to be working with and without the attractant. So I am not opposed to putting bloodworm in there. I think what ends up happening is if we add bloodworm additive, I think the more additives, more ingredients you use, the more you make of it. So let's see what happens if we put not quite bream, pearl barley, millet porridge, maggots, bloodworm, Sunflower oil. Do we throw some cheese in there? I think no. Let's keep it like that. $10 out of 10. And that made 50 portions. And I think it makes 60 if you use all of them. If you fill up all the ingredients, like all 4 additives with a base and attractant. And I'm sitting here thinking about this. We probably want to use the same ground bait combination on all 3, because we're casting them to the same location. So all we're doing is sort of overriding as we throw them in or whatever. So let's switch all 3. Is that a Bream? Yeah, it's a marker. Nice. Let's switch all 3 to the newly made one that has the bloodworms in it. And it's already getting a bite. And it's late enough now that we could start getting a 1 kilo one mixed in every once in a while, if we're lucky. Smallest hook is on the far right, so if we see a higher percentage of small ones over here, that might be the reason, although size 8 hooks, still pretty good size for Bream. A lot of trophy Bream have been caught on 8 hooks. I think it was last leveling guide. There's our first 1 kilo, by the way. I think it was last leveling guide that we caught our first trophy Bream on a size 20 hook. I think we were trying to catch white Bream or something. And trophy Bream came out on a 20. All right, we can use Paternoster now. So I'm going to switch them all. Okay, so Paternoster, it'll show you in the picture. It just has this extra line, universal rig, medium sensitivity, auto setting of the hook. If given the choice when I'm fishing with ground bait on there between the regular one versus Paternoster, I tend to like Paternoster. Now, eventually, I definitely will use and put points in inline and loop rig. Loop rig has ultimately been my favorite rig type with ground bait for Bream and, you know, regular fishing, sort of non-carp stuff, I guess. Or there's a few fish species that I still go back to simple bottom rig, but mostly that's because we're not using ground bait at all, and that's just sort of habit for me. But ultimately, wherever you put points is probably worth using that rig type. But it's nice that the different rig types do have descriptions kind of just telling you what they're particularly good at. All right, so this should be our first fish on Paternoster rig. I think that's a white Bream, isn't it? It's a nice one. An intricate foreign word is the achievement that goes with that. So now we want to get these out and put paternoster on them, but we'll wait till the fish comes in. It's not that big a deal. It's not that much of a game changer, I don't think. But for me, it's worth switching them. Even with the bigger hook, paternoster's bite rate's taken off. All right, it's on the middle line now. Fish is actually on there, I think. Ooh. All right, size 8 hook. It's a nice one. Unless it's a common carp. That's the best bream spots, is where common carp don't show up much. The other thing that we could consider doing, and it would cost a little bit of silver, but might be worth it. I'm so curious to see exactly what size this was. Is get a little bit larger spool of line. So right now we still have the 120 meter. We technically could get up to 168 if we got a larger spool. And line's not that expensive for the cheap stuff. All right, I kind of want to do this. I want to see if there's a visual difference in paternoster versus regular. All right, there's a nice roach there. All right, so we still have the second one on regular, and the second one's on paternoster now. The third one's still on regular. Can we see a difference? Yep, you see the additional line. So you see how the paternoster rig has separated where the feeder basket is coming from and moves it a little bit away from the main line. So they're on it's on its own little individual line there at the end. All right. So far, it's been a good start. A good start to bream fishing. All right, so while we have a second, let's check and see how much the line costs. And remember, Old Berg is more expensive than other places, but with something in this price range, it's not that different, obviously. The more expensive the thing is, the more you want to consider. So these are the cheap ones, only 36 silver. Oh, and the 5 kilo line is, it's not bad. So like, probably go ahead and get all 3 at that price, but we at least can get one. Start switching them over. Let's see if this works like I'm thinking it will. And we'll put it on the one that has the large one hook, just in the off chance that the largest hook happens to catch the largest bream. I don't know that that will be the case. It's often not the case, but it certainly could be. I love all these chat-worthy bream. All right. So we have from left to right, large 1, large 5, and a medium 8. hook sizes. Just on the off chance, let's make sure nothing else has caught any weekly bream since we last looked. At Oldberg, it's all pearl barley. Redworm at Volkov. Another nice one. In terms of efficiency, we pull in those 1.5 kilo bream very quickly. And also worth noticing, we'll see if it keeps it up all night, but right now the large one hook has really slowed down compared to the other two. There's 1.5 kilo. I love it. We're already at 7 over a kilo. I think this will be 8. Unless it's just under. No, it's just at a kilo. How many fish have we caught since catching a fish on the far left line? I think several. Oh, finally, I think. Do we actually have a fish on the first line? Man, we are killing it with the smaller hooks. I think we got to change that large one hook down. Again, we're not trying to just sit on trophies. We want to catch a nice volume. Of course, if this is a 3.5 kilo or something, then I might be worth waiting for. I don't know. No, it's not any bigger than what we've been catching on the other ones, right? It might be our first 2 kilo, actually. 1.69. So we could put a 4 on there. Let's do it. Oh, let's put the line as well. So now we have 209 meters of line on this reel. So a little bit better chance of not getting spooled. Holy cow. We did not have a clip. I really think we want upgraded line on all 3. It's only 30 something silver a pop. Saves us the embarrassment of at least having more of a chance of hanging in there with a big bream if we hook into one. Or a common carp. I mean, we can unfortunately hit some common carps that are going to just take us for a ride out here. Oh man, this spot. So glad we finally hit a legitimately, like, really good bream spot. This is terrific. Okay, so the question is, do we get one green one just to mix it up a little bit? I don't think so. I've never liked the look of, down to 787 silver, by the way. I've never liked the look of, like, multicolored line. But if you're going to do it, I think like, all three of them need to be a different color, not just one of them. Small. Maybe a white bream? It's our best chance. Nope. We still didn't clip it. And that's the one thing about that first line is it may not even be in the right clip when we caught that tiny bream. Alright, that is close enough. It's probably like a 20 clip. It's close though. Alright, so we need to switch out the line on this one. We need to clip this one. So what ended up happening was, not only did we get a bigger spool, but the line was also slightly thinner. So we were able to get even more line on the spool than I was expecting. We're almost up to level 16.5 now. Finally, we're hopefully going to get a bite on this third one. So the fish was kind of swimming towards the shore there. Now we've got him turned towards us. Should be good. 1.6. We have so many bream in chat right in a row. It's great. All right, I was trying to see. Saskia Williams on one of the earlier episodes said, regarding spinning, you can try changing your speed if the bite rate is low. It's good advice. Let your spinner lure sink in case the fish bites on the drop. That's also good advice. That does happen a good bit, it seems like. Regarding the experiment, if the intention of the Norway trip was only to get to Old Berg for bream, spend the money for some bottom fishing rods like the FD 420 and some Sabre 60s. By the way, I really like the feeder F420s. And I also really like the Sabre 60s. I think it's just hard to recommend that you get those when you don't really need that much strength for bream. I mean, I guess if you just know you want to do a ton of bottom fishing at Old Berg and you want to have a little bit stronger equipment so that trophies are easier to pull in and you have a better fighting chance against the occasional carp, then there's some real wisdom to that. I'm just saying you don't need that much strength for bream. If the focus is more on spin fishing, why not aim for some heavier spin gear and go for Cory and Volkov? Try to at least go for one HSV. It's doable, I think, and would allow a starting point for more intensive spin and bottom fishing. 2 HSV would be great in regard to trolling. I agree with that 100%. And in fact, even if you are going to do a lot of bream fishing, like I said, I don't know that you need to spend all that much silver on the Sabre 60 FD 420s, and you can still be saving for those 2 caliber HSVs for trolling Cory, Volkov, and beyond, as well as starting to put some gear together for carp fishing. So I really like that advice. I don't know if the trips to Norway and the extra fishing between trips would allow sufficient investment to make carp fishing a possibility, seeing the price of carp rods, reels, and baits, as well as the fact that amber or that bear is not always active and amber is quite a few off in terms of XP. Yeah, and I don't know exactly where we'll land on all 3 trips, and is that enough for the HSVs and carp rods and all that? I mean, obviously it at least gets you a big chunk in that direction. And I do like the flexibility of doing some Cory and Volkov trolling as you get there, if you get the HSVs. Just because those can be really good at times, like they have been recently. Volkov's seems like been killing it lately. All right, so it is 4:30 in the morning. And bream, we are already at 12, 18, 20 over a kilo. If you've been watching me for a long time, you know that I tend to measure bream spots in how many bream are over a kilo in one night. And anything north of 18, to me, is a great spot. So we are already in that category with still the chance over the next couple hours of getting a few more. So this is a tremendous bream spot right now, in my estimation, even without having the actual bream ground bait unlocked. Very affordable to level up bait harvesting and ground bait to the point of being able to do exactly what we're doing right now. And each one of these bream are giving us on average about 500 XP, it looks like. So pretty decent. There we go. 5 in the morning. Sometimes that's when a big boy shows up, although it's also when the common carp can start to show up. So let's see if we got a nice like 3 kilo bream here, or if we got unlucky in a 1.5 kilo common carp. We should be able to tell here shortly. That is a bream, and I believe that's going to be 3 kilos. 2.6. I was a little off. Almost 1,000 XP though. That's a nice one. That is a nice one. Man, they are just popping right now. And we just continue to get points in feeder fishing. This is something very small. White bream? Yeah. Although I don't know if that white bream order is even still there. We'll have to check. Now, it used to be that a high percentage of bream trophies came around 6 to 7:30 a.m. I think that's still possible, but I do think things have changed a little bit. More recently, I've seen a good amount of the trophies closer to midnight or just a lot earlier in the morning. It seems like things are slightly different in that regard. But I still think it's worth fishing till at least 7, 8 a.m. for bream. Still a good chance of getting plenty of markers during that time. So what are we at bottom fishing? Yeah, 26.9. So we just hit 25 to unlock Paternoster, and we're already at 26.9. This is where it gets interesting point-wise. I think I would still prefer to put the 3 points in feeder rods, not in Paternoster. Ooh, nice white bream. 646, okay. I like for the sort of small chance of white bream to come in here. I think we're going to be over 100 silver on bream here. I think. We'll go just a teeny bit further and then we'll call it. And remember, we are at 17-meter clip here. Not that you have to be exact, but that's what's working pretty dang well thus far. Yeah, once it hits 8 a.m., we're gonna call it. So very soon. Yeah, ever since we put this up to, what is it, a four hook, the bite rate on this first rod skyrocketed. I actually might think about doing 4 hooks on all 3 of them next time. I think 4 hooks still has a chance of averaging on the higher side, maybe pushing those numbers a little bit, but not sacrificing much on bite rate. But I don't know, we'll see. I mean, this one's a 5, so it's right there at the same area. And then 8, I've always liked 8 for Bream. So it's only in more modern times that I've been convinced that, especially if you're trophy seeking, using large 1 hooks actually does seem to increase your chance a little bit. But like I said, a lot of the trophies I've caught have been on 8, so. We're at 27.2. And they just keep coming. This is great. And I think you would, even if you just sat here for 24 hours straight, you'd end up catching a decent amount of roach and such mixed in the day, but you'd also have more undersized bream, which would, you know, not be as good, except you're still leveling up your feeder fishing. So we're at 57 fish, by the way. I guess let's get a final count on just the bream. 6, 12, 18, 24 over a kilo. Now, we didn't have as many over 2 kilo that a lot of times you'll see, but still really good. We did not end up getting 5 white bream, but we did get 1 that qualifies for this really nice order. That's a nice crucian order, almost 50 silver, which if you're up at the boot, you could definitely do that. All right, let's look at the price here. Yeah, 8.6 silver for the large. I mean, they just really add up. 144 silver. That is awesome. What a great night of bream fishing. Okay, so that puts us back at 932 silver. I don't know where we'll go next. I know a lot of times I've been calling in advance where the next episode will be. I'm not sure. I'll probably just kind of see what I feel like when it's time to record the next one. But I'm glad we got some good bream fishing, and I'm sure we'll be back. That was just too good to not come back eventually. All right, as always, thanks for watching. I will see you next time. Tight lines.